Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. We're going to do things a little differently this time. We're only going to do one team at a time. But before we get into any of our probably smoldering takes from the weekend's debacles that we had to deal with, it looks like Lance is finally home.
Dude, I made it. I'm done with trips for at least 3 weeks.
Hey, at least that's 3 weeks
Uh,
of your own bed.
oh, dude, it's good travel, but at some point you have to be done.
Hmm. I
Can't last for
agree.
forever. Yeah. It's traveling for 3.5 weeks of the past month. That was tough. Yeah.
Especially when a good chunk of that wasn't really vacations, it was work.
Yeah. Yep. But, I'm back home. I was able to sleep in my own bed. Didn't have to worry about um having a pillow on my hotel trips. So,
Hmm.
yeah, man. Everything's good. But Thanksgiving was fun. Black Friday was horrible, which we'll get into that later. Um, which team do you want to cover first, Andrew?
Well, I think we've been doing the trading off back and forth. I think I went first last week, if I remember correctly.
I think you are right. I kind
Unless
of
you're not
wanted to go.
ready.
No, no, I can do it. We can dig into this. Um,
Okay. Floor is yours, sir.
I I've been telling people for a long time that I've feared for the possibility of a 2023 repeat, and it kind of feels like we're heading that way. Um, the wheels aren't off yet. There's still time to turn things around. The Rams even lost on Sunday somehow, some way, um, which means that there's still a chance they could still get the one seed even at 8-4, which would be weird because getting the eight seed, the one seed at 13-4 is not a common occurrence right now. You have to be like perfect or one loss, two loss. So it's a bit of a down year as far as for the NFC East overall or NFC overall. Um, Things I don't like. The Cowboys are charging up. They're getting better. Um,
Yes.
Another very impressive win on Sunday. Um, I still feel like it's not really defense that's carrying the day. It's just George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Ferguson
Hmm.
together are just unstoppable. They've made an unstoppable. But That's one issue. The other issue was that I've heard a lot of people say, and I think it's a very fair thing, is they say, looking from this game that happened with the Eagles the past week, imagine if Ben Johnson had Patulo's job. Imagine if Patulo had Ben Johnson's job.
Mm.
How would things have played out the past week? Because the creativity that Ben Johnson went with, the levers he pulled, the way he orchestrated things, because is the Bears line that much better? I don't think so. And I think that the Eagles defensive line should be better than the Bears offensive line. But I think it comes down to scheming. Um, it, it it's a really big part of the success of the offense. And so I'm not going to say that there's no blame to be on Nick Sirianni's shoulders. Um, I thought that Nick Sirianni was a big part of the 2023 failure. I just also believe that Brian Johnson was a big part of the failure of 2023. Um, I Looking at Jalen Hurts' stats, this was by far one of his worst games as an Eagle. It was awful. Could not have been much worse. Um, Having an interception and man, that tush push fumble. I don't know what he was thinking. Like you almost lost the ball in Tampa Bay. The time for saying I wasn't prepared, I wasn't ready, that's over. That's past. The NFL has played this, decided that they're going to let this play out. Like I just Here's one thing I want to say about the tush push real quick. Anybody that was calling for this play to be dead because it was unstoppable, and you look so silly right now. You
I
look
was just gonna say
so
that. I was gonna say that that train has left the station because now people are finding ways, and that's how this league works. There's things
Yeah,
that happen that's so good on one side of the ball, so the other side of the ball has to adjust, figure it out, and they figure it out eventually. And that's what teams
right.
are doing. They're going after the quarterback on the other side, pulling him back, ripping out the ball. People figure it out. So that train has left the station.
Yeah, I just like I said, it's not about having to keep something alive. But even in our group chat, Andrew, it's mostly quieted. And I just
Hmm.
to me it's a perfect example of canceling or ruling a play illegal, taking it out of the game. It's a dumb idea. It is. It's a dumb idea. It
Yeah.
doesn't fix a problem. What it does is open the door for more problems. Because what plays are you going to get rid of next? What's the barrier? Is it because the person's too good at it?
Hmm.
Because it wasn't a health issue. Um, and so, like looking at that moment, I just felt like it was indicative of the fact that I think there's a little bit of a whiny culture right now, and that's really what happened. Is that it was the what was
Yes.
us? There's this impassable barrier, and I feel like you have to step in to remove the impassable barrier so we can start competing again. And it's just dumb. You know, I just really don't like that, and I'm not going to sit here and cry about the refs not calling the play dead. Jalen Hurts wasn't down. He
Hmm.
wasn't down. The other part too is that put your knee down, get your arm down if you're down. Figure out how to get
Hmm.
down. Like if you got the first down, there's no reason to get cute. We got the first down, move on to the next play. Jalen's had a fumble issue. He had a big fumble against the Green Bay Packers. Like he has to
Yeah.
know I'm susceptible to fumbling right now. I got to be smart. I got to make a good decision. So I just wanted to cover that part real quick because I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of the whining. Like it's time to move on. Um, I just it's never a good way to try to win as far as or gain an upper hand in the NFL. Scheme it, figure it out,
Hmm.
come up with a game plan. Um, and you look at that Buccaneers game, right? That fumble issue. Um, I didn't hear Todd Bowles go up there whining after the game. He said they missed a call.
Right.
He's upset about it. He's going to let the NFL know about it. Like that's the
Hmm.
approach. Um, so, and I do want to give the Bears flowers. I know we kind of disagree on this as far as are the Bears legit? Are they not? I'm not saying they're the number one seed. This is a good team. This is a good team that's well coached. Ben Johnson had the team united. Go watch that. Go watch that clip of him in the locker room. That team
Hmm.
is behind him. They are ready to make big plays. Um, I will say I am concerned about this passing game against a
Yeah.
bad Eagles defense for the secondary because of our number two spot. That's a cornerback. And they didn't have anybody that got over 40 yards passing
Hmm.
or receiving. That's a problem. Caleb Williams looked pedestrian but flashy in some moments.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, I'm not trying to belittle them, and at the same time, I am not trying to make the Bears sound unstoppable. I just think going into Philly, winning a game against the Eagles, that's a big deal, and I give them a lot of
Yeah.
props. And it was great work. The Moaning guy Swift combo was incredible. They just seem to be getting every hole possible.
Yeah.
Um,
Almost 40 carries between them. Actually, exactly 40 carries between them.
I think this is the part I think about right now. Coaches have to put the wind in their players' cells. They have to make them confident that they can win this thing. And right now, the
Hmm.
Eagles have no wind in their cells. I'm not trying to excuse the players. They've got to play better. There's dumb mistakes that happened on game day. It was a problem. It was absolutely an issue. But um, I just think that there is something going on right now. There's something happening. I can't pin it, but doing nothing and keeping everything the same is not the answer. AJ Brown is finally going again. Some of it by just AJ Brown being AJ Brown, but and that notion, it's annoying because it's like, where was this? Where was this? Why could you not get this going? And um, there's something that happened a couple weeks ago that I've been ignoring because I just thought it's the end of the game. It's not a big deal, but because we won, I'm more concerned about this Packers road call between Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, where they went for it deep on that fourth down. And I think that it's a joint frustration between Hurts and Brown, where it's like, forget these guys. They're making our life so hard and they're pushing us into even harder games. Let's just do it this way. And it was a
Mhm.
dumb decision by Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. They both need to take ownership for it. But clearly, this offense is feeling hampered, um, reduced. I don't know what the right word is for it, but siloed. It's not at its full operation. And um, the coaches got to take blame for it. But also, too, the offensive line, man, quit telling me how great the offensive line has been. They are not great this year, and they don't deserve that label. And they deserve to be labeled as the biggest problem unit on the offense right now. Um, I know people love to give Philly a hard time for the booing that happened, but what is a fan base supposed to do? Like, what is it supposed to do when you have paid top dollar to your offense to have the best offensive line, to have the best wide receivers, to have a good quarterback, to have a great running back, and to look this bad? What are they supposed to do? I Philly gets a bad rap all the time, and some of it's deserved. There's bad apples, but every fan base has bad apples. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but the Isaiah Rogers racist comments issue, right? It happens. You can't control everybody. You, as a team, don't get to decide who becomes your fan or not, but you can control like outlandish behavior. It's not like fans are trying to attack the players or, injure them. They're just sharing their frustration. Like, look, I'm paying Black Friday prices for these tickets. The best example I've ever seen of this, it came from the All or Nothing series on Amazon, which became a dud. It's unfortunate, but there was a clip between Isaac Seumalo, um, and I can't remember who the other player was with, but he's talking about how he's like, I've had a hard time understanding Eagles fans. But then someone said to me in the stands one day when we were losing, "Hey, we chose this over going to Disney World. Let's pick it up." And that comment resonated with him. That's exactly the approach every player should have that's playing for Philadelphia. These fans are paying top dollar to come see you. Do your best to put on a show. Um, or tie back to the Last Dance series with Michael Jordan. He talked about how every game he plays, that'll be the only game that at least one fan will see for their entire life. So he's going to give it the best shot he can. Um, there's just that type of perspective needs to come back to Philly. Something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say it's one person. It's a group effort. You win together, you fell together. Um, but I look at those things and it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. Um, we got a big game against Los Angeles here in about a week. We have got to step it up. We cannot afford to lose again. If we lose one more, Andrew, we will lose the division and the Dallas Cowboys take it. I say the next three. If we lose one of the next three, that the pressure is really on. Um, by the way, I looked dumb for the Commanders take on Sunday. I really thought that wasn't going to be a game, but guess what? We got two more games against that team, and they just looked like they played their absolute tails off. So, what type of Washington team are we getting at the end of the year? I don't know, but they're going to be scrappy.
Hmm.
Um, so, trying to think of other notes in the game. I don't know what's going on with Saquon Barkley right now, but the answer is to not continue to run with him and only him. We have another running back, Tank Bigsby, that has shown signs of potential. It's time to get him out there. And that's nothing against Barkley. Like, look at Monin Guy and Swift. I think one of the advantages to having these two running backs is they play different. Therefore, the defense has to get
Hmm.
adjusted different.
I
Sometimes you
agree.
can catch the wrong align. Like, part of the reason I think that they're such a good force is that you have certain defensive linemen out there for one running back. But if you can manage situations right, you can get the wrong defensive line out there for either running back that allows them to explode. Um, because you're just guessing when you're subbing in people. And if they sub people in at the right time, you could catch the defense off guard. And I think that was a big part of it. So I want to see something different there. Definitely want to flag Jalen Hurts for that interception. That was unacceptable. That cannot happen. Um, yes, the wide receiver that he was going for fell on his route. I'm trying to think who it was. Uh, I don't see him on the stat sheet, but that was definitely a problem. That was a really big issue. Absolutely took the wind out of the Eagles' sails that drive. Um, yeah, man, I leave this game feeling frustrated because I know they can play better. I've seen it. And what's more likely, Andrew, that Jalen Hurts has regressed to the point where he's no longer a good passer and no longer a good quarterback, or he's working with an offense that's incapable of putting together a game plan that allows him to succeed?
Yeah, I absolutely am with you on that second one because I saw it firsthand whenever Jalen Hurts was dropping dimes deep against the Vikings defense over and over again. It wasn't like the passes were inaccurate and the receivers had to come back to catch him. No, he was dropping them in the breadbasket and easy touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. So no, he is still a top 10 quarterback that is dealing with an offense that just isn't clicking right now.
Yeah, I mean, we had struggles last year with Kellen Moore, but we were a flipping good team, man. And
Right.
he put together game plans. I was confident in Kellen Moore coming in, and um,
Hmm.
it's a lot different being the co-pilot to being the pilot. And I really think we're taking a step back because of our new pilot. Um,
Hmm.
the only question I have right now is, um, can he turn things around? Because if Patullo starts to show signs of turning things around, maybe it wouldn't be good to get rid of him because then we start the whole process over again. If we did get rid of him, I would be if I was Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, I would tell Nick, we're helping. You're not just getting who you want. You have to have our approval. Yes, you are a
Mm.
Super Bowl winning coach. We will keep you, but um, this whole buddy system, keeping the guy you want to be your offense coordinator, that's not going to fly. It's not going to work. Um, it's led to such a bad fallout. It's not been great. It's not been good. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think of what else I wanted to say from this game. Um, I definitely have more thoughts. It's just I've been so mad about this game for so long, Andrew, that now it's like starting to leak out of my brain. Um, let me give some positive shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Jalix Hunt. His interception was incredible to tip the ball
Yeah.
and to catch his own
Yeah.
tip.
Hmm.
That that is like rare skills, which is why the
Hmm.
Eagles drafted him as a former safety. They felt like those safety skills could translate to the defensive line, and it did. It went really well. Jalen Carter had a big sack. Nolan Smith had a sack. Only 2 sacks in this game, which is a bummer. But great job by both of those guys. Um, we did get some quarterback hits, which is nice. Um,
Caleb
and
Williams is shifty, man. He is hard to get to. You can get pressure on him and he'll escape. That's one of his elite skills is his escapability and keeping plays alive.
yes,
I give him a
yeah,
ton of credit on that. He has a lot to work on as a passer, and that was obvious in this game, but his ability to not go on the ground is elite. Give him credit for that.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I think just think about some other stats too. Is I just think it's important to keep in mind Jalen Hurts still has a 103.9 pass rating this season. This was not his best game. Like there's issues. Like for example, the Lions game, he had a 63.8 pass rating. I would say he had a better game than a 63.8 pass rating against the Lions. Wasn't
Mm.
perfect, but it was better. And this game he had an 84.2, which is this is not telling the whole story. But still overall, a 103.9 pass rating. He's on pace to have a better passer rating year. He's already had a better touchdown year. He's having a better interception year. Like, if you leave this game thinking this is all on Jalen, the story that story is not the way things are playing out. You are crafting
Hmm.
your own narrative. Sure, there's times where Jalen has to play better. There was times he wasn't hitting the receivers on target. Um, but I just think the offense is all about timing. And if your timing is off, it's going to be hard for any of your players to succeed. Um, and also, I said at the beginning of the season that Landon Dickerson needed to sit out the year after having such a huge injury, and he didn't. And it just felt like that we're
Hmm.
seeing playing out that he should have. Will we have lost our chance on a Super Bowl? Pretty good chance, but this isn't working. And if he's going to have to take off time in the offseason and come back and take even longer to recover for next season, then that's really short-term thinking that is not helping. I want this guy around for the next 5 to 7 seasons, hopefully, maybe longer. Um, and approaching it with I have to be available every game, every week for the short term, it's not productive. And I feel like the Eagles didn't have enough thought into that conversation. It would be a hard conversation. It would change up your team and it would be very difficult. And you would have to make a trade for somebody or pick someone up to pick up the slack. But I want this championship window to be open as long as possible. And I'm watching the season thinking it might be closing. It might be over. The AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts drama, which I think is really just about the offense in general, is not great. AJ Brown clearly still has something left in the tank. He has things left to prove. Um, but we have got to be different in the way we approach things. Um, it is coincidental timing for the Eagles that Justin Herbert has a fracture in his hand, which I do think will
Hmm.
play a factor in that game next week. But the NFL is all about momentum, and
Hmm.
it's a big part of it. They've got to recapture it. The season's not lost. It could get better. I am miffed at why Nick Sirianni announced at his press conference that Kevin Patullo was staying the offensive coordinator. Um, that's just a bad decision. It's not about placing blame. It's not about trying to make his life harder. But one of the best things you can do for everyone on that team is to make sure the person that is very likely the most responsible for the offensive failures that day doesn't think he just gets a pass. Everyone needs to feel like, man, I have to play better. I'm part of the problem. Um, and so I think that there's a good chance that we're going to see an awkward conversation between Nick Sirianni and ownership where they approach him and tell him, you're going to make a change because that's exactly what we told you to. You can either embarrass him in a press conference or we can have an awkward report that you're taking over someone else. So I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen. But Nick Sirianni's a stubborn guy, and sometimes that's helpful. But what we're seeing this year is the stubbornness is not helping us. It's causing situations that are making things worse. I don't blame Nick Sirianni or Patullo for the tush push issue. That's
Yeah.
on Jalen Hurts. He's got to be better. But when you allow things to snowball, which they have had happen in 4 games this season where snowball issues have occurred, and you barely beat the Lions because you can't get the offense going, and you barely beat the Packers because you can't get the offense going, like those are schematic issues. Those are coaching issues. You cannot blame, and like people want to blame the defense for this game. They still held them to 24 points, man. Like even with all of the frustrations, like for most of the game, the Bears were at 10 points. I don't know how they did that with over what 280 yards running. Uh,
Hmm.
stellar game overall to be able to do that. Maybe stellar is not the right word, but it's a good game. Yes, they're burning you on the ground. Yes, that's making it hard on your offense. They're also not scoring. Um, so I don't know what we do right now. Cam Jurgens is a problem. Landon Dickerson's been a problem. Jordan Mailata's not having a great season. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure what you do. It's not great to sit players. Lane Johnson is also out, and that does affect the team.
Mhm.
Fred Johnson is not Lane Johnson, but guess what? He's out. Oh well, he's gone. He's not going to be there for a while. So you got to figure out a way to win. Um, I'm curious what's going to happen next week, but I'm terrified, Andrew. I'm terrified that we're going to lose again and that we are reliving the 2023 nightmare. And it's like, man, what a price to pay to have to win a Super Bowl, to have like the weirdest vibes in the season before and the season after the Super Bowl. I don't love that trade-off. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if there's any other thoughts you wanted to offer on this game, but I think that's most of my thoughts from what happened this past Friday.
Yeah. I was going to touch on was two things. One, I think both our teams are going through the same thing. There's internal things going on that's just strange, and there's a lot of coaching, I want to say almost malpractice all around that's going on that you're thinking, what is this? Because we know the coaching staff is better than this, but they're preparing our teams poorly. And there's injuries going on offensive line. There's receivers who are not very happy right now. It's very similar years for us. Difference is we're 4-8, you're 8-4. That's really the only difference between the two teams. And the other thing I want to touch on is this game in particular against the Bears. The difference was just the running game. When you lose 281 to 87, you're not going to win the game. I don't think you can ever win the game when you get outrushed by over almost 200 yards. And the Eagles stayed in the game, like you said, most of this game. They were fighting, they were competing, but Eagles could not get the running game going, and they could not stop the Bears' running game from continuing to eat clock, drain that defense. Like you said, they held them to 10 points most of this game. But if you look in the fourth quarter, the Bears scored 14 because the defense was just exhausted. They just could not hold them anymore. Could not hold that run game because the offense for the Eagles wasn't sitting drives, wasn't letting them get some rest. So that to me was the biggest thing was just the run game on offense and on defense, giving up 281 rushing yards and averaging 6 yards a carry against you. That's tough to win when that happens. But like you said, it's not all the defense's fault. They had to be back on the field over and over and over again, getting gashed, getting exhausted, bending but not breaking. And then in the fourth quarter, they just didn't have anything left. So that was what I wanted to say in that game. And like I said, the Vikings and Eagles, very similar, strange seasons. And to me, it's a really strange coincidence that the two best AJ Brown games this year came in losses. Isn't that strange? Against the Cowboys and then against the Bears. He had great games, but both losses. It's just I don't know. It's just the run game. The Eagles last year were a running team. This year, run game's been absent, and you see struggles. Got to figure that out somehow. I don't know if that's all on the OC or, like you said, O-line play has been bad. Saquon's not quite been the same. I don't know what it is, but you watch the Bears game, and their offensive line blocking scheme is elite. I give Ben Johnson credit for that. Elite run game he has. Like you said, the pass game isn't that great, and I know that the Bears are definitely making the playoffs now because it was a funny stat they shared in the game that with a win, the Bears had like a 90% chance to make the playoffs, but the loss, it was like 40%. I was like, whoa, that's a big difference. But they won the game, give them credit. I still don't think they're the best team in the NFC North, let alone the NFC. So they still have, I think, one game against the Lions, two games against the Packers, or 1-1. I'm not sure what it is. But I don't see them winning either one of those games. I think the Lions and the Packers are a better overall team than the Bears are. The Bears have a really good run game. They're coached really well. You're correct. Team is behind them. Give Ben Johnson credit on that. But overall, they're still not that great of a team. I think that the Packers and Lions are still better than them. But we'll see. We'll see what happens going down the stretch. Bears have a really difficult schedule still, but they're 9-3. They are definitely a playoff team. And in the playoffs, You win by physicality in the run game, and that's what they're showing. So we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think what makes this game overall so frustrating and why it just feels so doom and gloom is like it's what week is it week 12? Week 13? I can't, week 12, I think.
13. It's 13.
But it's like we just can't figure things out. We cannot figure
Hmm.
out these issues that have consistently been there the whole year. Um, yeah, it's tough, man. And also, I do want to say that if Saquon Barkley getting 4.3 yards per carry, that's not bad. I just think it could be better.
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
could have been better. And I think that naturally switching out running backs helps both running backs. It doesn't need to happen
Hmm.
all the
Keeps
time.
him fresh.
You're so,
Hmm.
well, and like, and I just keep thinking about Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell in the back of my head. This guy was available and he could have been brought back for such a cheap contract. And he could have solved things in two ways. He could have been a kick returner, which we have needed so desperately to have more consistency at that part, and a great backup. And we just let him walk. Like he wasn't given a big
Hmm.
deal. I don't know. Howie Roseman made some questionable moves this offseason, and so I hope that he also takes accountability. Letting Gainwell go, letting Rodgers go to the Vikings. Like I don't want to hear this from people where they talk about how Rodgers has had some bad games. He's a cornerback. He's allowed to have bad moments. What you're not allowed to have is just flat out horrible play. And overall, the CB2 spot, it's been a game of masking tape that area. Like we have been doing our best to like disguise it, give a little extra coverage, but like you can't make up for a miss. And it was a miss. I don't know why Hy Roseman thought that Adoree Jackson was going to be fine enough. Like that was always a silly thought in my head, but I thought maybe he knows more than me. But it just goes to show that GMs are human too. Howie Roseman's human.
Yep.
You can be good at some things, you can be bad. Um, a big game coming up in Los Angeles next Monday night. Gotta win, man. It is a must win. If you
Yeah.
lose three in a row, I this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that's the most likely comparison. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers of I think 2020 or 2021, or the Arizona Cardinals, where they had the one miraculous season with Kyler Murray that just slowly died off.
Hmm.
That's the that's the track you're on. And it's not going to get better if you're not willing to allow things to get better. So I think that's enough for me, Andrew. I think people are tired of my pessimism if they're even listening to this. Uh, but yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how things turn out. It will be interesting.
For sure. For sure. But at least you guys are most likely going to make the playoffs. We'll get into my team in the next episode where little teaser in that I don't know why Vikings fans are thinking the way they are. It just blows my mind. Maybe I'm the outlier and I'm the one who's wrong, but I will get into that because there is a narrative out there that is strange to me. But if you want to hear about that, be sure to check out the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you next time.